Oh, this is so cool. Pretty, right? Hi, I'm Samantha.
Hi, I'm Jenny.
And we're here today with Julia Collins, the CEO of Zume Pizza. They use technology to help make healthy food more accessible. Thank you so much for joining us,
Thanks
Julia.
for coming. It's nice to meet you.
We're so excited to have you here today. We would love to hear about how you became interested in entrepreneurship.
Sure. So I graduated from Harvard in 2001 and went to work in New York City, which was a fantastic experience. My whole life, I always wanted to live in New York, so it was really wonderful to finally get there. But I realized pretty early on in my experience of living in New York that I was going to have sort of a much better life if I could control my own destiny. People work really, really hard. People work hard everywhere, all over the world, but I think especially in New York. And I thought, gosh, this is an awful lot of work for me to be doing without having any ownership in the company. So I realized, I think, sort of in my early 20s that I wanted to be my own boss.
That's awesome. What, from that point, sparked you into taking these principles? I know you had experience in the food industry. How did that sort of transition into Zume?
Yeah, so I was a pretty nerdy kid, actually really shy. And the way that I would get to know people was always actually through food.
Oh,
so
wow.
I would bake cookies and share them at school. Or I would have friends over, to make like a little picnic. So food was always my medium for any kind of like a social setting. And that's how I really sort of developed a passion for food. And that carried through my entire life. And I knew that at some point in my life, I really wanted to make a go of developing actually a career in food. So not just a passion, but actually a profession in that passion. So that's the food piece of it. And then in terms of Zume, I was really lucky to meet my co-founder, Alex. He and I share a lot in common. We both have an engineering background, but we also have a real passion for solving big problems. And one of the biggest problems that I see in our country right now is that it's really difficult for lots of people to have access to very, very high quality food. So if we think about our country as a pyramid, where the wealth is distributed unequally, as you know, access to food is also distributed unequally. So the people at the top of the pyramid have access to very high quality food. They can shop at Whole Foods and spend all day in a farmer's market. But the folks in the middle of the pyramid and the base of the pyramid are really struggling with having access to great food. So Alex and I realized that we could solve that problem together, and that's why we decided to found Zume Pizza.
That's amazing. Thanks.
So a big part of Zume is the technology. So how'd you come up with the idea behind incorporating robots into your product? And also, what's next in terms of engineering innovation?
Yeah, so when Alex and I looked at traditional pizza making operations, we realized that there was a lot of inefficiency. And beyond that, we realized that there are a lot of jobs that were being created that weren't very fulfilling for people. Most people don't want to spend 2 hours of their day putting together a cardboard pizza box, and then another 2 hours slicing pepperoni. Those jobs don't offer a clear path to promotion, and we realized that we could actually automate those functions and then take the people who are working in those functions, give them more training, invest in them, and let them take other career paths that are going to give them a lot more fulfillment. So that was sort of like the why automation piece. But when we looked at the automation that was available on the market at that time, we realized that there wasn't anything that really served our needs. So traditional pizza making equipment is designed to do large-scale commercial production. So maybe it's perfect for making 10,000 cheese pizzas that you freeze and sell. But we want to make really fresh pizza, and we need to do it dynamically. So if you, Jenny, order a cheese pizza, and then you, Samantha, order a pepperoni pizza, we need to be able to have machines that can switch back and forth dynamically. So we realized that we could actually use robots to automate the pizza making process.
So are you the Uber for pizza or the Amazon of food?
I'd say we're much more the Amazon of food than the Uber of pizza, and here's why. So Zume has an innovation which is called cooking en route, and what that means is we actually cook the pizza while it's being delivered. And we do that because that allows us to bring the pizza to you fresh out of the oven, as opposed to having the pizza wait in a cardboard box for 45 minutes while it's being delivered to you. So when we scale, we'll have a national network of these delivery vehicles that are designed for cooking en route. We right now are putting pizza in those vehicles, but you can put anything in there. These are a large network of vehicles that have 50 kilowatts of power, compressed air, and clean water. So you could put a frozen yogurt robot in there, you could put a salad robot in there, and once we do that, we'll be able to offer customers a wider range of food products, but always with this innovation of cooking the food while it's being delivered.
So I understand that you guys were recently granted a patent. What's that all about?
So this is really, really exciting. So on March 28th of this year, after 3.5 years,
Congratulations.
and $250,000, 7 supervisor actions, 3 office escalations, the USPTO finally granted us a patent for cooking en route.
What are you most proud of?
The thing that I'm most proud of at Zume is our commitment to really giving people the highest quality food. I feel so happy when I know that people eat our pizza and it makes them healthier, it makes them happier, it makes them less stressed. And so that's the thing that gets me really excited every day when I come to work.
Thank you. What do you think how are these values reflected in the mission of the company, these values of making healthy food more accessible?
Yeah, so I think, a lot of companies have values that don't necessarily help to guide the decision-making process of the company. And so Alex and I wanted to make sure that when we wrote our values, that they would actually help us to be better business operators. So our founding value is that we believe every single person in America has the right to high quality food at a fair price and with convenience, right? And we believe that when we feed people, we're developing a sacred trust with them. So that's kind of the founding principle, and that's what's at our heart and soul. That's at our core of our company. But then we had to think about, well, what do we want it to mean to work at Zume Pizza? What kind of a culture, what kind of an environment do you want to have? And so we wanted to be really authentic in the way that we express that. So one of our founding values is no assholes.
It's a good one.
Yeah, Alex and I were, it was really kind of early on in the company, and we needed to add additional engineers to our team, and we were interviewing, and there was, there were a couple of people that were really, really well qualified, but that just weren't, they weren't a fit. And so I forget which one of us said, well, you can't like everyone you work with. And then I said, yes, you can. It's our company.
Yeah.
We can create the kind of culture that we want. And so we want to make sure that we're only working with people that we really, really like. So that's one of our values here.
And you mentioned that you're also empowering your current employees to learn how to code.
Exactly, which is really important. So we're in the heart of Silicon Valley here in Mountain View, and there's so much professional opportunity that's available to people if they have certain skills. But what we find is there's a lot of inequity in this market as well. And there are people who, by virtue of their nation of origin or their sex or their age, aren't getting access to professional development on an ongoing basis. So we wanted to change that at Zume. So we actually sponsor code academies for employees that are interested or passionate about engineering, so that they can, or software engineering in particular, so that they can pursue professional opportunities that are in that field.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
What are some of the toughest situations you found yourself in, and how did you bootstrap your way out of them?
Let's see. The toughest time that I had as an entrepreneur was really when I was in New York City founding a company called Mexicu, which is a fast casual business that I worked on there. It was a completely bootstrapped company. We founded it during the absolute height of the financial crisis in 2010. And we basically founded the company on our credit cards, which is tough, but it really taught me a lot about grit, never giving up. And it taught me a lot about the importance of building a profitable business. So we sometimes see these unicorn businesses, that don't prioritize profitability in the short term. And I think that Alex and I are always very conscious to make sure that we're building a company with lasting value by making sure that we build a profitable business early on.
Cool. What sort of steps did you take to ensure that the business was profitable from the beginning?
So first and foremost, we make sure that we have good control over our cost of goods sold. So that means the pizza ingredients themselves, as well as the packaging that the pizza comes in. You'll be able to see today that I actually designed a pizza package because I didn't like anything that was on the market.
Awesome.
So our pizza package is made from sugarcane fiber. It's totally compostable, and it's designed to make sure that your pizza is never soggy. Yeah.
What is your favorite type of pizza?
Oh my gosh, that's not a fair question. My favorite type of pizza of all time is just a classic margarita.
Oh, wow.
So tomato sauce, cheese, and a little bit of basil.
And our last question would be, what is one final piece of advice you'd want to give to aspiring entrepreneurs?
Never give up. Never, 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 never give up.
Thank you so much for your time, and we can't wait to taste the pizza.
All right, let's go taste some
Thank
pizza.
you.